Welcome to Beyond the Game with John and Carlton. Today, Carlton is predisposed. He's not going to be able to be around today, but we've got a great show lined up, and I just want to share. We've got my son, Michael Fahey, with us today, and Michael said don't talk about him, but I got a couple things to say. What I've always appreciated most about Michael is his ability to see sports from multiple perspectives as a player, coach, administrator, and now business professional. That perspective aligns perfectly what Beyond the Game is all about: roles, relationships, and behaviors. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you back. We've got a great guest today, and I've known him for quite a long time, and we'll definitely get into that. And Bob Ociepka, our guest today, is one of the Chicago's most respected coaching minds. Bob Ociepka began his coaching career at Gordon Tech, later led Gordon Tech in York High School, and went on to spend more than 2 decades as an NBA assistant coach. Along the way, he worked alongside some of the game's biggest names and became known as one of basketball's great teachers and relationship builders. For me, this conversation is especially meaningful because Bob was my counselor at Gordon Tech years ago. Today, we're going beyond the game with Chicago coaching legend, Bob Ociepka. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks, John.
Good to have you.
No, it's a pleasure to be here and seeing you and Michael. And we, like you say, we've known each other many, many years, and started back in the 70s, so that's how far we go back.
Yeah. Clearly from the 70s to 2026, John has kind of elevated his game, so to speak, and I owe a lot to you as a counselor, as a coach, because just to have this relationship with you today is really special to me, for all you give to me and others. And I talk to other players, ex-players, and we all say the same thing. We love you. We respect you. We followed your journey all those years. We visited you, and so tell me, kind of how did it begin? You grew up on the west side of Chicago, I believe, and just share a little bit about that time in your life.
Yeah, I grew up near Pulaski and Division, that kind of area, Pulaski and Grand. Mm-hmm. Went to St. Mel High School. Back in the day, I probably liked baseball more than basketball.
Really?
And one of the first influences in my life was my cousin Bruno, who we lived in a 2-flat, and they owned the building. We lived on the second floor of it, and he was on the first floor, and he's about 6 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And he was a basketball fanatic, so he's the one that got me started playing basketball. And one of the first things I remember was going all to the Loyola games, and Loyola's still the only Illinois team to ever win the NCAA basketball championship. That was 1963, yeah. And so that kind of ingrained me into basketball. And beyond that influence of him getting me started is the fact that he was an English teacher at Gordon, and followed the basketball team there, mm-hmm. and was a big fan of Coach Dick Versace, who was there. And he was right on hand when he knew that Eddie Janka, one of the assistant coaches, left to take a Weber job, and there was an opening. He talked to Coach Versace on my behalf, got me the interview, and a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time. And my hookup with Coach Versace led to my career as eventually a head coach at Gordon Tech, and he's the one that brought me into the NBA. So tremendous influences.
So we got Bruno to thank for that.
Bruno got me started. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us. But
I don't think I ever thought about how you got hooked up with Coach Versace, but that's interesting.
When I interviewed for the job, it was a 2-man interview with me, and it was Coach Versace and Tony Baroni.
Wow.
Who was another legendary high school coach.
At Gordon.
great basketball player at St. George High School. All these places are closed now, of course, right? The St. Mel I went to is long gone.
Sure.
And St. George is long gone. But Tony was a terrific. I remember watching him play at St. George when I was a younger guy at St. Mel. And so I remember coming out of that interview going, I got to get this job.
Right.
I mean, I was so impressed with those guys and just wanted it. And fortunately, it worked out.
Yeah, we were blessed to have a coaching staff like that at Gordon back in the day. From top to bottom, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get too far into your career, but just, you've helped me, for people who don't know, like, you helped me a lot trying to get into the NBA, doing internships and everything. And I used to drop your name all the time. And I did an internship back after you left the Bulls with Jim Sand, hired me as a video intern for the 2010-11 season, the year Tibbs' first year. So it's so hard to get into the league as a coach now. I think even more so. There's only so many teams, only so many spots. And you went from being the York head coach in Elmhurst, Illinois, probably scouting against Lyons Township, to the assistant coach for the Indiana Pacers. That's something that doesn't happen these days. You went from coaching York to coaching, Reggie Miller and scouting against Jordan. Like, tell me about that transition, because that's quite a jump.
It was crazy. I remember going out to dinner on New Year's Eve, and really what happened was that when I left Gordon and went to York, I always say that my salary doubled and my losses tripled. So I turned to Coach Versace, who at that time now was an assistant with Chuck Daly and the Bad Boys in Detroit. So I told him, he says, look, you can't, that equal opportunity offense you're doing where, it didn't matter if Faye, was running a pick and roll or whatever. He just run pass, I'm running passing game. We got shots that we needed, whatever, we had the talent to do that. At York, we didn't have the talent that we had at Gordon. So he says, you got to run some set plays. You got come on up to Detroit, come on to our camps. So I kind of started going there basically to learn and get better at York. And I inherited a team from Dick Campbell, who was a terrific coach, terrific basketball coach, and he had won 4 games. And for him to win only 4 games tells you about where the program was at that point. And the enrollment had really dropped, and so that was a big factor there. So I go in there thinking, man, I'm going to turn this thing around. Everything. I won 5 my first year, and it was it was a horrible experience for me. So again, turning to coach, I started going to their camps. Went out to L.A. And all on my dime, but I didn't care. Went out to the L.A. Summer League and just watched and learned, and saw Dennis Rodman out there with not a tattoo on him, and never said a word. It was a different Rod. Anyway, so that's kind of where I learned to change my approach to the game, and it turned things around. My last year, we won our first 10 games, and everything kind of went in the right direction. I think when I left, we probably won 11 or 12. So anyway, so New Year's Eve, I get a call from Coach Versace saying, I'm getting the Indiana job. He says, you want to come? I said, come where? And he says, come to the NBA. I said, I'm coaching. I'm a guidance counselor. Hey, you tell him you quit. You're going to the NBA. So that's Coach Versace, right? So, as a coach with John knows, and you preach loyalty. You preach we're in this thing together, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm going, and I never had a dream of going to the NBA. I just and so anyway, I'm thinking it, and then I didn't tell anybody about it, other than the athletic director and the principal, and it was the late Jack Tosh. Yeah, and Dr. Nelson was the principal, and they were all for it, which amazed me. They said, "You got to do this. It's if we can help you, we'll get it done."
Once in a lifetime.
So I remember the night before I was ready to go, I'm sitting in the guidance office. I can't do this. I was going to go in there and sneak all my stuff out, like the Colts left Baltimore. So I was going to just
like an Irish exit, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Just leave. And I said, I can't do this. I owe it to these kids and everything. And the phone rings, and it's Coach Will Ray. He's on the phone. And I said, Will, my best friend, I said, I can't do this. And he says, look, he says, in another month or so, these kids are going to be gone, and you're going to be there.
Right.
And you've done everything you can for me. So this, an opportunity of a life. If you say no now, it'll never happen. Mm-hmm. So he's the guy that ultimately talked me into doing it. So the next morning I met with the kids and the team and shed some tears. And I was scouting Proviso West, I think Proviso West a couple of nights before. And then all of a sudden I find myself heading to Indianapolis. I didn't know where it was or anything, on a plane, and that's not too far. Okay.
How exciting.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's like a whirlwind, just boom. I mean, Michael had that a little bit going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just boom. Yeah. Had an interview on Thursday. He's got to get on a plane to go out there by Monday. And, you're dropping everything, and there's relationships and there's, things you're leaving behind that mean something to you. And so, but, again, you get an opportunity like that, you take it.
Yeah. I just didn't know. That was a great answer. I just didn't know if once you saw Dick making the jump to the NBA, if that was something that you wanted to do ultimately, because you coached a handful of years as the head at Gordon and York, right? Like you were in it for a while.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see that. You don't see that jump.
Honestly, I never did. And reflecting back, and I was in the NBA for 25 years, my best years were at Gordon. I wouldn't trade those and those relationships, and not just saying this to John because he's here, but we have a get together that I started, and Greg Ganko, one of our players, he continues this thing, and we got guys from all the years, and it's the best.
It really means a lot.
Yeah, it's tremendous. But getting there, and I shut my mouth. I listened, learned, and I'm not going to. Reggie Miller's there. I'm not going to teach Reggie Miller to shoot a jump shot. I'm just going to.
Yeah, right.
So Coach Versace had me do some advanced scouting, which helped me learn more of the league. I was doing a little bit of that before. And I think he was just kind of prepping me to see what I could do, and it wasn't a paying job, but I'm sitting front row watching Michael Jordan and all those guys play, and it was come on, I'm gonna go. I'll do that every day if I can.
Yeah, so, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
All of us in the area, whoever's touched by you, which is thrilled at watching your journey. And we had an opportunity to meet you, and when you guys were when you were with Milwaukee, when you were with
Minnesota. Yeah,
and that was
the first time I think I wanted to get into coaching was you sent us a letter, a poster of the 76ers. Was Badger on that staff? Was that? It was.
Yeah.
It was signed, I think, by a couple players. And I got
Iverson.
I got it in the mail, and I was like, "Man, this is awesome!" And then obviously we went to Minnesota, we went to Milwaukee, and visited you and saw some games. Even when you were with Chicago, we came to the game. That was easy. But bringing up the 76ers, right? So I think Iverson just had a birthday. But just thinking
he did.
Just thinking you got to see Iverson's rookie of the year. And then you got to see Rose's rookie season, rookie of the year. Tell me, just being with those guys every day, what separated them from the rest of the group? That's just wild. Two all-time point guards in two different generations that you got to be a part of.
Yeah, when we got to Philly, thank goodness for Coach Badger, because he's always been my confidant, my advisor through the league. When I was getting ready to decide if I'm going to leave the Midwest and Indiana, where my first start was, and go out to the LA Clippers, he said, "Look, Bobby," he said, "never let geography affect your career." And then I've reminded him every time when I went out there and all the crazy stuff that happened in all the 10 different places I lived in. So, but anyway, he was very influential for me. But he was there. The first thing he said there is, "Don't buy, rent." He started after the first meeting with the people there. And the team was a dysfunctional team. And it was Jerry Stackhouse, who I liked, and just tough, hard-nosed player. He was the I think he was the number 4 pick in the draft for Philly a few years, maybe the year before. So he was the guy. It was Stack's house and all that. And then Iverson comes in, and now it's the people couldn't wait for him to come in. So there were some clashes personality-wise, and we had players that didn't practice. I don't know if I want to mention any names here, so I'm not going to listen to this. So anyway, it was crazy. I was in and out of there so fast that I barely remember being in Philadelphia. So the thing about Iverson, though, is that he was such a strong-willed guy, and felt that he needed to do everything for that team to win. And probably right. He was probably right with the guys that we had with that group, and never wanted to come out of a game. He didn't care how many fouls. If you took him out of a game, when he had the 4th or 5th foul when you should take him out, he said, "You don't have confidence in me. You don't trust me. I'm not going to fight." One of the, that was the fire that he had. So he was a very fiery guy, and he was pretty much our offense. He had that streak of 40-point games and things like so. Anyway, that was him. He was going to do it his way, and Larry Brown kind of got him under control. He didn't like to practice with us either. Other than what he said about the practice.
Talking about practice.
I wasn't too crazy about it back when we had him either. So anyway, Derrick Rose was probably the opposite in terms of wanting to do it all himself,
right?
And he was for me more of a team guy, and tremendous talent, just great hops, and an attacker to the basket that I had never seen before,
right?
And unfortunately, when he got hurt, it changed some of that.
He went so hard,
but he was fun to coach. Loved being around him. The guys gathered around him. Where in terms of if you're a guy, you've played with guys that I don't want to play with that guy. He never passes the ball.
Oh,
whatever.
Right.
And Iverson always going to do it himself. He'd
totally
exhaust
opposite.
everything till. But man, what a crossover dribble! I look at some of the films. I say, aren't those carries?
Well, nowadays none of that matters anymore.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned. I saw him play at the state finals for downstate Champaign.
Yeah, he went down. Yeah,
and the way he controlled the whole tempo of the game, by being a facilitator and just getting everybody else involved, I couldn't believe it. And then I didn't know he had that much. He was that gifted though, because he almost didn't share it enough until he got to the college probably, or even NBA. So.
I saw him play. The first time I saw Rose play was his summer going into his freshman year of high school.
Wasn't I reffing that?
No, I think he was playing full package. He was playing Sammy.
Okay.
And it could have been a Proviso West or one of these summer tournaments, right? And no one even knew who the kid was. And he would get the ball like on one lane and just turn around, face the defense, and like one dribble, he's like at the rim. And we're like, who is this kid? And they're like, oh, he's going to Simeon. He's going to play on the sophomores, because they didn't bring people up from the varsity.
No.
But what tremendous. And then when I got to be like a video assistant, it was his MVP year. Okay. So I literally saw every single play of his whole entire MVP year, because I tracked. Thibodeau had me like tracking shot clock, when the Bulls and when the opponent shot within the shot clock. So every single shot I watched, and his MVP year was like one of the best, one of the best, especially coming from Chicago. I'm pretty biased, but
yeah.
Very, very coachable too, and did what you wanted to do, and just blended so well with the teams. We had Ben Gordon on that team, who's a heck of a shooter. Luol Deng, Joakim Noah, who I think Vinny Donegro really resurrected him. If you remember, he had coaching issues and he had problems before we got there with the coaching staff and whatever went on. I think that he was one of the keys also, along with that group with Derrick, and but Derrick blended in really well, and a fun guy to coach. Loved his intensity, to do what you wanted. I was in charge of the defense at that point, and whatever you wanted, there was no asking him. You just do it.
Speaking of like Speaking of, we got something? I got something.
No, go ahead.
He mentioned Vinny Del Negro.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to bring up.
Go ahead.
We're bringing
Go
up
ahead.
rookies. We're bringing up Vinny Del Negro.
I got my note right there. Go ahead.
No, I just want to talk about how, because when you coached with Vinny Del Negro, it was a first year head coach, right? He never had been a head coach. So, like, how did you help him? Because you were a veteran assistant at the time. Like,
Well, what happened is when I was an assistant in Minnesota, so you guys had visited up there, and I had another year left on my contract, but the Bulls were interviewing coaches for the head coaching job, and so I had known Gar Foreman basically through Will Ray. Again, Will's name comes up again. They had when Will was as the head coach at Loyola, they had run into each other or Evans, wherever it was on that circuit. So he had called me and said, "Look, we got a couple of guys that we know you're familiar with. You worked for. I mean, I was fired so many times that I worked for most of the guys they were interviewing. So we spent some time talking about guys and of course, the rule. You never rat on your friends. You always keep your mouth shut. Those are the good fellows, right?
Was that in your book? Was that one?
That was in the
first book.
The first book. But anyway, so I would put out some of the ideas I had about guys, what their strengths are, and whatever, that kind of thing. And so when they hired Vinny, my first thought was, what the heck? The Bulls are hiring a guy never coached before, And then Gar had called me back. He says, "Would you be interested in interviewing for the job here?" I said, "Really? Yeah." No,
Right.
It turned my attitude around. But they at that time they hired Del Harris and they hired Bernie Bickerstaff.
Oh yeah.
Both knowledgeable guys and successful coaches. So they wanted to surround Vinny with guys that would complement him and what he brought is his experience as a player, his experience as an assistant general manager in Phoenix. So he had that background, and for the X and O part, those guys contributed. But they wanted a younger guy. I was young back then, and so I came in as the guy that coordinated the defense. So three of us worked together, and it was a growing experience because Vinny had saved stuff from Popovich, and he had booklets of things. He was really organized of all the guys that he had worked with over the year, but it was too much, and eventually he condensed it into formulating what he wanted to do, and I think from that point we took off.
I thought he was great. He was great.
And that was the season where at the end of the season we had that great series with the Celtics. They say it's one of the best first round series ever, maybe the best.
I went to one of those games. I was at one of those games.
Did you?
It was good.
I didn't know that.
Big three.
Probably the highlight of my career as an assistant coach was that game against Boston, the triple overtime game, and the roar of the crowd when Noah steals the ball at the end and Pierce falls him, I think we couldn't stop Ray Allen, they couldn't stop Ben Gordon. It was just a classic back and forth. So my defense wasn't too successful. I couldn't figure out a way to stop Ray Allen.
Well, I want to shift a little bit. It said you wrote a book on offensive plays.
Yeah, you know what? Early in my career, I wrote two books: Plays for the Pros and Plays 2 and whatever. I'd come back and high school guys, like I went with the coach for Say's, guys came to me and they said, "You got something for this? You got plays like that?" And then somebody said, "Why don't you write a book? You got all we're talking. You got the sugar packets out on the table and the salt shakers and everything. Write a book." So I kind of started that idea and wrote a couple of them.
Are they still running those plays?
Nobody runs any plays anymore in the NBA. It's pick and rolls and isolations and dribble handoffs, isn't it? That's about it.
Yeah, it's a way different game. It's a way different game than when I played, even too.
Speaking of I'd hate to get. I don't want to get off of you, but I do want to talk about the Spurs and the Knicks.
Oh yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah,
just a tad. Your thoughts on the series?
I got a grandson that's playing for Will Ray at Northridge, a left-handed guy. So for the last year and a half, I've been, because Brunson's left. I said, look at how I'm trying to have him watch just how he gets his shots off. Whether it's a step back, he always can get a shot off somebody.
It's incredible.
And so I've been kind of enamored with his game, and again watching him when he played at Stevenson and that kind of thing. So we've known him for a while, and Villanova and all that stuff. So we're kind of excited about that. And then I didn't watch the West as much during the year. And I was seeing, you got a 7-5 guy that's shooting threes and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been, an amazing series. I'm shocked that they lost the game with a 29-point lead, San Antonio.
I know.
Huge.
I think that's just being young and Knicks have somewhat more experience, I think, and have a different approach to it. But the Spurs are a team to be for the future.
Oh yeah,
even if they don't win this year.
Yeah, you think the Knicks will close it out in 5, or you think the Spurs got one more? I think they're going back to San Antonio. But they haven't won one in San Antonio yet.
I wouldn't count them out.
Yeah.
I think they win one, and they've jumped the leads in every game, haven't they? I think so. And
they have. They blew 2 of them though. So,
but I don't know. A 29-point lead now in the NBA doesn't seem that.
no, the first half lead on the road against New York, that's tough to hold on to. That's really tough.
Right.
I was watching, pardon the interruption, and Michael Wilbon, he's Chicago through and through.
Northwestern.
But anyway, so he said all San Antonio had to do is just run the clock out each time. Take the 24 seconds, hand the ball, and they would have won the game. I don't know if it computes, but the threes that guys attempt and hit. Now, I mean, number one, the talent level is just crazy.
Yeah.
And I found myself many times, no, what are you shooting? And boom, that's in.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. And analytics is taking over there, right? You have threes are worth more than twos, which we all knew, but the analytics guys have stressed taking them. And even you got Wemby out there firing threes, and I'd rather him close to the basket. But somebody said, the guy's not really a low post player,
not.
so you can't, but when he runs those screening rolls and rolls to the basket now, and he's either going to get a lob for a dunk, or he's going to draw help where they can skip it out, beyond him for a 3, to somebody else. So.
His skill set is off the charts. It really is. 22 years old. I remember first time me and Carl saw him play, we were like, he's not that good. We were like,
Freak. He's a freak.
So good.
Are you, because you've been in the career lifetime coach, are you like in the camp where it's like the game was better back then? I mean, obviously you said the talent's better now, but like how about the game? Because like you started like going back to the Pacers, right? Back to the basket type stuff. And then Lob City when you were with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, like the game shifted like while you were in it.
Yes, kind of. That last year with that group, I think I saw more dunks that year than all the other 24 years combined. I mean, it was just crazy stuff. It was like, holy mackerel, exciting stuff. But, I guess, when I started out and when I scouted, I was up till 2, 3 in the morning writing up these reports. And I've got defensive books, how to defend a down screen, cross screen, the double screen, just all the different things you had. And when I taught the defense, I had a checklist. I got to cover all these things through training camp, so at least they've known them. And then as we get into a game and game plan, we drill it or whatever. But everything was practiced beforehand. Now those books, I don't. Like I say, it's pick and roll. I don't know why you would need a scout, because you watch a game. Everything's watch a game everywhere. Back then we didn't have the games. We had to wait till we got back home and saw the game.
There's no offense anymore.
It's different.
There's no offense. Everybody just go,
so it's individual.
It's a lot of it.
Everybody switches everything.
Yeah.
So I think when you're putting a team together, you need pretty comparable sized guys that can do that type of thing.
I think that's to your point. That's why the Knicks, I think, have a little edge at size. It's almost like 1 in 4 out with the Spurs. They're all guards out there.
It's almost like a positionless league these days. Like you said, you got to be able to switch everything. So it's like everybody's like point forward these days, the skills off the charts. So,
but now I have fun watching the college game, because you got a low post guy. There's post up players. To me, that's how we all grew up on the game. We had Bill Mady and what was it, McAvoy. Those guys were on the block, and we threw the ball inside
flash,
them. And
they would flash, and they'd be wide open. Why not give the ball to them? They're 3 feet away, and they knew what to do with it. That was the offense.
well, you didn't have threes then. You would have had your share of those.
Yeah, my brother David always wanted me to shoot. He said, "Johnny, you got to shoot." I says, "If I shoot, nobody's going to get the ball." I says, He says, "We had 4 guys in double figures on our senior season, and I knew. I says, I would love to, Dave, but because David was a shooter. And speaking of David, my brother, his relationship with Ed Badger, because he played for Ed at right. Okay. And when you bring up Ed, I think of David. And, it's, this whole thing, what we're doing is roles, relationships, and behaviors. And you talk about all the relationships you do have, and you've gained, and you've embraced it. If you just really think about it, it's almost overwhelming. And touch on that,
Coach. I still talk to him. I think he's 95 or 96. He lives in Marco Island. We talk once a week. Either I call him or he calls me, and he's been so influential for me. But he. Back in the day now, when I grew up, there was no Bulls team. It was, they had the Chicago Packers, and they played at the amphitheater. Right. And so, Loyola and DePaul were like the pro teams. So they were the teams we followed and everything. So Coach Badger, what a great run he had at right, just winning with Dave playing there and so on. They, won championships and so on. But he got to be friends with Dick Mata, who was also a junior college coach, and so they kind of connected. And so Dick, and again, then there were no assistant coaches.
Well, that one year, didn't Mata got like suspended or something?
Well, yeah. So anyway, now, you watch an NBA game now, there are more coaches sitting behind the bench than. So anyway, Mata had no assistants.
He had no assistants.
So he asked Ed if he would help out and whatever. So Ed helps out and everything. So there was a game where Mata kicked the ball into the, people know Mata know that he kicked the ball into the stands. So he got suspended. So they needed Coach Badger to come in and coach the team. And he says, when's the next game? So he said, well, tomorrow night. He says, no. I got an undefeated team at right. I'm coaching that team. I won't be there for that one. So
really?
He turned down.
Yeah,
to coach them. So I think
great story.
The trainer coached that game. But anyway, Ed wound up going in and helping. And after that, so he was at most of the games there. But right junior college came first. And he always said, you can't go wrong if you go to right.
That's
so,
Jesus.
Great guy, just a tremendous man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious.
There's so much history in Chicago area sports and in basketball. I would say that the 6 degree to separation in this sports is it's like a given, and in all reality, it's almost 1 to 2 degrees. That's how close everybody is to each other, and. I think I just love the fraternity. And again, the object of the whole reason for the show is to get guys like you on the show and share your knowledge and, your journey and your relationships that, made it all happen. And hopefully it can have a huge impact on others. So I just want to add that.
Yeah.
Mike, I didn't
know. I didn't realize you were helping doing some stuff at NAS, because I was going to come in here and ask, can you watch a game for pure entertainment, or do you have to be analytical about it? But clearly, you're still scouting.
This is hilarious.
It's thank God for Eddie Stritzel, right. Who played for me at Gordon. And, excellent player for me, and then I left before his senior year, and then he was number 2 in the Catholic League for the Lawless Award that year for his second best player. So he had just a great career. Went to Loyola, got hurt in a car accident, and which ended his. He wound up playing that.
Talk about a guy who maximized his skills and abilities to be really, really good. It was Eddie Stritzel.
But you've done the ladies sports.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I watched some guy. I wasn't crazy about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then Eddie asked me to help when he was at Trinity, and so I helped out a little bit here and there. And I enjoyed working with the girls. They were coachable. They listened. They played hard and everything. And then he got me more involved when we went to Nazareth. And for an old guy like me, who's sitting around watching TV or not doing much. He's helped me, give me some purpose. So basically, he doesn't need my help. Believe it or not, they'd have their championships without me. But he's given me a chance to. I'm like his advanced scout.
Nice.
So I'll do a report. I used to do them for Coach Fitch. I don't think he even read them, so I don't know. Hopefully Eddie reads. And I think he reads them.
Well, it's funny because I went to see the Rolling Meadows girls play because a bunch of the people I work with they got a daughter playing on a team, and as soon as I think I text Coach, he said, "You got a scouting report on that? You got a scouting report on Rolling Meadows?" I'm like, I'm loving it. You can't quit. It's in the blood.
Well, I'm kind of, so anyway. So I'm his advanced scout and like his consigliere. So he asks, I give my opinion, but I've got opinions. He's got decisions, and I always tell him that this is what I think. But he doesn't need me, and thankfully he's given me some purpose. I'm so appreciative of that.
A lot of these girls that play for Eddie are trained by
Anthony
Maniscalco.
And I've told Anthony, I said, you are so crucial to this stuff. And I think that's where the game has changed, that the skill level at all levels is so improved. We talk about the NBA, guys are taking shots that I'd be yanking guys out of a game for, and they're going in.
I know.
And they have personal training people. They have their skilled. Anthony Maniscalco comes in and he does his thing.
Does a great job.
Over the years of watching these girls' teams, and you've seen them, just the skill level has gotten better and better and better. And you can drop the greatest play ever, and if they can't make the shot or complete the pass, what good is it? Now they do it. So the skill level is tremendously improved.
Yeah, Eddie's been having some great players since Trinity. When I was at DePaul for 2 years with Bruno, we had a lot of Trinity girls that he would send over, and they were talented, very skilled. And Anthony's been helping out Eddie for player development for like 15 years now, I feel like.
He's crucial. He's crucial to what they do.
Coach, you wrote some books, okay? I know you did some basketball books, but you also wrote a couple other books, Minestrone for Mobster's Soul, Life Lessons from the Movie Mafia. Co-written with cousin Bruno.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay. The book uses mob movies, Chicago stories, and life experiences to teach lessons about leadership, loyalty, family, and relationships. It took you about 7 years to complete.
Yeah, about yes, 7 or 8.
And then you wrote another book, All Good on the Streets of Chicago. Right. That's a recent book, right?
That's more of a novel.
It's a novel. And it's a Chicago-themed novel reflecting many of the neighborhoods and personalities and life experiences that shape you growing up on the Chicago West Side. Share a little bit about both those books, and if you can.
Well, the first one, again, started, I kind of started the idea of, I threw one of the quotes in here earlier.
Yeah.
But I was in Cleveland, and the strength coach in Cleveland was a big mob movie fan. So we would throw quotes back and forth and everything.
Right.
And then we had Zadrunas Ilgauskas on that team. And a good guy, if you guard him, he's always going to turn over his right shoulder to baseline for a jump shot. So when I coached against him, I knew what he was going to do. But anyway, he didn't speak English well. So Stan, the trainer, strength coach,
right,
taught him how to speak English by watching the mob movies. They're watching The Godfather and Goodfellas, all these things. That's cool. That's how he learned to speak English. So he threw in a lot of curse words while during practice sometimes. But anyway, so that kind of started it. And then I always had told my daughter the Goodfellas thing, you'll never rat on your friend, whatever. So anyway, I said, if you call my daughter right now and ask her what are the two most important things, which Robert De Niro tells the young guy at the Henry Hill at the time,
right?
And he's those were what he said. So my daughter would immediately, if you call her right now, she'll tell you those two things. So anyway, that's another thing came in why don't you write a book of all these? So it's kind of started out as a book of quotes, and then somebody has suggested, it's not good enough. You need to tell some stories. So what we did is we told stories from the neighborhood, and I pretty much got the stories. Most of them are true. You have to figure out which ones I was involved in, but anyway, so most of them are true. And then it was like omerta, being quiet and whatever, family, justice, loyalty, honor, religion. We had all those kind of. Those are some of the chapters that are in there. And then Bruno took the story, and then he used the quotes from the movies to explain what you learned from it, whatever. So those were the life lessons in there, and we had fun putting that together. So I took the love chapter from that one, and if you ever had a beer at the Friendly Tap on the north side of Chicago, I think you probably did back in the day.
I think I did.
So some of the characters from there, we took their story a little bit and then embellished that to tell a novel. So we started that one, and Bruno didn't make it to the end, but he was influential through most of the writing of it.
Okay. Well, he passed.
He passed about 2 years ago now.
I think I got through half the Minnesotan one. Okay, and just
Did you learn anything?
I did. I did. I learned a lot. I really did.
I gotta read
keep
those.
my mouth shut. Okay, is what I learned.
I gotta order those. Those on Amazon?
Yeah. The Minestrone, the company that did it is out of business. But you can get the Kindle.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The other one is on Amazon. Yeah.
It's funny, like sports and like I can't think of another thing when you talk about roles, relationship behaviors than like Streets of Chicago or like the mob. Like, that's got to have some correlation between sports and just all the intricacies with the relationships and
we know guys, right? We knew
Everybody
guys growing
guys.
up, and
I was at one of my brother Dave's friends, and he texts me and on FaceTime me and says, "I miss your brother Dave so much today." And Dave died in '83, so I had to go to this guy's house. He talked about the old days. I can't say his name. The Grand Avenue days. He was raised in that area, and just the stories. He'd be like this, and I says, "Are you sure you're Polish?" And just I loved. I think we all kind of love that kind of mob mystique. I don't know what it is. Well, they were killers.
Well, but like we wrote in the start of the book, back in the day when we were young kids, the cowboys were the guys, the John Waynes and the Clint. Well, anyway, and then it turned into these guys, probably with the Godfather. All of a sudden, it just turned. They became the modern day cowboy guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it shifted. And talk about all your influences. I mean, you had a ton. I mean, between Will Ray and Baroni and Versace and the guys who were by York who were real supportive, Vinny. And can you share some of the teams that you were with? I think you were with about 9.
10 different teams.
10 different teams.
Yeah, I was in the Detroit 2 different times and the Clippers 2 different times.
Oh, okay. And then the Bulls, the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I got to go in order.
Bucks,
go
in order.
I went from Indiana.
I forgot your age.
Indiana to the Clippers, Clippers to Philly to Orlando. That was the one year I worked with Chuck Daly, which is tremendous.
Oh God,
tremendous!
I can only imagine that experience.
Yeah, and I remember riding in a car with him somewhere, and I said, "Coaches, I was advanced scout for them at the time. After we got fired in Philly, I went there and I had I could have sat out here and got paid. But I needed to work to stay visible.
Sure.
And so he said, Bobby, forget these resumes. No resumes. This is a professional, personal contacts. Make friends, get that, and so just a wise man, a great coach, just a great coach. From Orlando, I went to Detroit. Grant Hill was on that team, and we wound up losing in the playoffs to Lenny Wilkins, who coached Atlanta at the time. and then Randy Whitman, who was a player in Indiana when I got there, and then he winds up getting the job in Cleveland, and then so I wound up going to Cleveland for 2 years.
I remember that.
And then from Cleveland, I went back to Detroit. Joe Dumars brought me in, and again, I'm not going to teach Joe Dumars how to shoot a shot or anything, but after practice, I would stay with him. I was his rebounder. I'd rebound, throw him pass, whatever he needed. I was always there to help him out, and so he brought me back there, and I wound up there. Rick Carlisle was the head coach there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Stay there for 2 years, and then wound up going to Milwaukee for 3. And
Who were you with there?
Johnny
Terry Porter.
Terry Porter was the head coach,
Terry Porter.
and then and Terry Stotts was the last year. So I stayed on with Stotts, and from there Randy Whitman became an assistant in Minnesota, and then with Dwayne Casey was the head coach, and then I had known Dwayne, and Randy helped me get back there. So I went there, then to the Bulls. We got fired there, so another firing, and then went to Portland. And
you were with Nate McMillan, right?
Well, Nate McMillan.
I was just thinking too, like I bring up Derrick Rose and you brought up Grant Hill, right? Like, so who do you think, put you on the spot here, who would have had a better career, the 3 guys that got injured, Grant Hill, Rose, or Brandon? You coached Brandon Roy too, right?
Yeah.
Those 3 guys that could have been like elite, all injured. What do you, I mean, where, I don't even know where the question would go, but like in terms of like their potential, what of the 3 would have had the best career?
Wow. So Rose, Brandon Roy, and
Grant Hill.
Wow. Probably Grant Hill. I would say Grant Hill, I think.
Yeah.
He was heading that way anyway,
He was
and
such a
a
good
different
player.
position, so it's a little bit different, maybe a little skewed. Brandon Roy, I wasn't around him long enough to see him healthy. And when I went there, I had a chance to go with Vinny to the Clippers and Portland. And I looked at Portland's team, and the Clippers, Donald Sterling screwed me out of some money at the end there, so I was a little bit bitter when I left the first time.
I remember that. Sterling.
So anyways, so I said, Coach, I said, I got it. There's more money here. I said, and look at the team. I said, you got Brandon Roy. Yeah, we had LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
We just drafted Greg Oden.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, this is a potential. I'm drawing a blank on the forward who's still playing. I think.
Kevin Durant. Still playing. I thought, okay, yeah, Kevin Durant. Greg was drafted over Durant. Look at Durant's career. Look at Greg Oden.
Yeah, and I heard the stories later. They said that when they worked him out, Durant had a fabulous workout. Oden was, so
injuries,
and then in the NBA, there's so many influences that are beyond the coaching staff or the personnel people's control. You got ownership.
The game.
They got friends and people, and so they wanted Oden because if you got Aldridge, you don't need Oden. It's like the last time. We don't need Jordan. Right? So they don't take him. So you take the best guy. I think that tells you what happens there. But I think Grant Hill. I would say Grant Hill, and between Brandon Roy and Rose, I think Rose was heading to greatness. And
for sure,
and got cut short. It's too bad.
Yeah. You've been around a lot of players.
Yeah,
and we haven't even named. We're forgetting guys.
There's so many guys. I mean,
the other thing, like starting out, you talked about coming in as a high school guy.
Right.
I mean, I got zero credibility. Who is this guy? And Coach Versailles, Bobby's going to be the mechanic. He's going to, he knows all the X's and all. Not that I did, but he, gave me tried to give me some credibility.
Sure.
But I don't know if he could do it nowadays. I mean, those guys, embraced me and gave me a chance, and we had Reggie Miller and Chuck Person and those 2 guys especially, and I did it the right way. I didn't go in and try to say I knew anything or anything, and I learned and whatever. And as the years went on, I became a little bit more vocal, but those guys gave me a chance, and they could have blown me right out of the water.
Well, I think you respected the opportunity, and you realize where you're at, who you're with, and just be a sponge really with all these great coaches and high level.
Now it's just it's got to be so competitive to get that up. You got to be in the war room, in the video room for years, like Spoelstra, spending 16 years as a video coordinator type thing, just buried in a closet somewhere before you can get out.
Who's the coach of the Spurs? He's a young guy, right?
Yeah, he's young. I don't know his name.
36 years old.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah, you see that in the NFL as well. There's a lot of young mid-30s guys taking over teams.
I think the thing, Michael, too, is that, like I said, you see there's 3 assistants on the bench. That's all you can have.
Yeah.
And there's 10 guys behind the
bench. Every player has an assistant.
And all those guys behind the bench want to come on the bench. So it's, I wouldn't want to be involved in.
Yeah.
That lends me to just, how did you navigate? I know you, through that whole 25-year career, I know you touched on, you probably took a lot from the book,
Yeah, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially just, if somebody's going to talk to you in confidentiality, that just stays between me and you.
And respect, and like the respect as a chapter, you just show people the respect, and
right.
And try to build relationships with people, and I think that's so important. And I never did anything behind anybody's back. When I was hired by somebody, I'm loyal to that coach.
Right.
If he's going, I'm going too. I'm not trying to get a job, or I'm not trying to get a head coaching job or anything.
That means
and
a
I
lot.
didn't really want one. Not that anybody offered, but I was content where I was at, because I saw everything that a head coach has to do. And I had some of my moments that we've got time for a Donald Sterling story.
Sure.
So anyway, we just came back from a road trip, and it wasn't good. We didn't play real well. It was our last year. We won 62 games, I think, that year, and we won a division. We won every game in December. We just had a great season. Just lost the first round of the playoffs, which cost us the job. But anyway, so all the cars come out of when you're leaving the arena after a game. So we won a game. We didn't play great. We did,
right.
So I'm waiting for my car. My daughter had flown in from Indianapolis, where she still lives. She came in with her boyfriend. They're waiting with us, and Andrea's there. We're all waiting for the car. We're standing there. So Donald Sterling's vehicle's getting ready to come. He comes up to me. He says, "Coach," and he knew your name, but he would never say your name. Coach, let me ask you a question. You're in charge of the defense, aren't you? I said, well, yeah, I guess so. I guess you could say that. We all have some input on it. I said, but I'm directing. He says, why do we foul so much? Why are we fouling? And then I said, well, we're aggressive. I'm trying to get my through this thing. I'm looking around. Everybody's looking at me.
Right.
And then he said, well, we foul way too much. I mean, it's just it's not fun to watch the fouling and everything. And finally, so I lost it. So I said, Mr. Sterling, let me tell you something. We just had a rough road trip. We won the game. Can't you be happy with the win? Can't you be happy with the win? And fortunately, his car pulled up. So he gets in the car. And he doesn't say anything. He didn't like that. He didn't like that. So I'm driving home. I call Vinny from the car. I says, Coach, you look like you better get a new defensive guy. I said, I'm going to get fired here. He said, well, what happened? I told him the story. He says, don't worry about that. He calls me every day and tells me, he's telling me something. You know what? He says, I put him on speaker. I go and get a cup of coffee and come back. He's still talking. He says, don't worry about it. I never heard anything more about it, but
that's funny.
That's some of the crazy stuff that goes on.
I'm sure it happens a lot more than that.
You don't miss it at all, do you? Or
no, not really. The day to day is so. Once you start, there's no days off. Yeah. There's no days off. I remember when I was in Detroit. Before I got there, I heard the story. Michael Curry was one of the forwards on that team, and they came back from a road trip, and I'm not sure. I don't know. Might have been Doug Collins was the coach. He gave the guys a day off or whatever. So Michael Curry comes in and he wants to shoot. And there's an assistant coach. He's home. He didn't come in. So the next day, the assistant coach comes in. Kind of gets a shot. He says, "No, I don't need you today. I needed you yesterday when you didn't show." So I knew that story coming in.
Yeah.
You better be there. And that's a lesson too.
Yeah.
And I learned. You better be ready to go.
Right.
Whether it's a day off or not, you're ready to go and do your job.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like in the 32 game Nazareth girls basketball season instead.
Yeah, but Stritzel keeps me working, man. He says, "Coach, we need another look at this team." We got
at every level. It's do or die, man. No matter what level you're at, it's a lot.
But
so
the technology now, I don't have to go to the games.
Yeah.
I'm home. I got them on the
Huddle?
computer.
Yeah.
I'm huddled up. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
it's
no,
great.
you guys do a good job over there.
great.
Mike, you got anything else?
I don't know. I appreciate your time and just having you throughout my career. You know, I'm not in athletics anymore, but you were very influential in my start. You know, I don't think I'd be here where I'm at without your helping me, you know, as a mentor, trying to get into the league. And I did an internship with the Bulls and the Sky, and then I probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunities that I got without your help. So I appreciate that.
you
So it's
made
been
my
great
day.
it's
So
been
nice.
great to chat with you.
Well, you guys are like it was like it started with the Gordon Tech thing. Even with the York guys, you create that bond because we're all in this thing together.
Right.
And you guys are family, and I tell Andrew, I said, anybody asks me anything that I've coached, I'm there, whatever it is. Whatever they need.
We feel it. I mean, Coach, you knew me when I was a freshman, sophomore, junior, and I was as nutty as they came. Okay, I had a lot of fun. Okay, but you were there for me, and I'll never forget it. And I got one question before we go. It's what does beyond the game mean to you?
I think it's the relationships. It's the bond we have for all these years. You're in your 60s. I mean,
I'm 6'7".
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
think about that and I go, holy cow, these guys, and I still treat you guys like your kids. I mean, to me, in my mind, you're still there. I can yell at you or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But to me, it's that it's the stuff that takes place. That's beyond the game. I had George Chuck Robinson died on the court at Gordon Tech.
Yeah.
And he was a great player. He was headed to big things, Division I things, and had a heart attack. And that's something that you never forget. No. And it helped bond a group of guys. And really, the Gordon parties we have started with the guys that were in that group. Titus Redmond and Leroy Mack and Nate Beard, who has passed away, Glenn Nason, those guys. Yeah. And
Johnny McIlvain.
So we that group, and so anyway, so that it started with I would go out with Mr. Robinson and those guys that were part of that team, and we just expanded it. And to me, that's what it's all about. Yeah. That's more fun at those things than. And we never won the last game. We never won the championship when I was coaching. But still you compete, you fight, you lose, but you battle on and you're with those guys, and you have those relationships with those guys where it's McAvoy and
we talk all the time.
Murphy and all those guys
it's funny because you mentioned what are your daughter remembered two things that you always taught her, right?
The two most important things. Yeah.
What were they?
From Goodfellas.
Okay.
You need them again?
Yeah, I want them again.
Never rat on your friends. And always keep your mouth shut.
I love it.
That's great.
Do you know what my two kids learned really early in life?
What, the Gordon fight song?
To this day, they know the Gordon Tech fight song.
I love it. I love it.
That's hilarious.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I can't say enough about you being here, and we really appreciate it. And
we don't have the beer. It's like sitting around in a bar talking.
No,
so this is a blast.
It is a blast.
Great.
We're getting a lot of great perception, and people love it, and I'm excited that I'm happy that everybody likes it. We're going to continue, and we're just grateful. We're very grateful, and Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and
good stuff.
Appreciate you.